Greetings, everybody. We're back in the shop. Sorry for the delay on the videos. Last few days have been really hectic for me. Very busy. I told you I was going to do an update on Ghazghkull. He's right here. He's in black primer. We did a couple of the other boys just to let you see what they look like in black primer. Then we got, I showed you the mech boy back there with the mech that was in white primer. Now the reason I did that was to differentiate the two so you get an idea of what they look like primed in both colors. Again, like I said in the previous video, some guys argue and say white primer is better than black, vice versa. I don't agree with that. I agree with whatever allows you to paint the best, go with that. Some people will say even use white primer on your vehicles versus black primer. Again, I stress, whatever makes it easier for you to see. Now, I want you to look at this. I got Gazzy done. Most of his armor and his metal parts are done in what they call bolt gun metal. It's older GW color. It's not super old, but old enough. It's good color. It's good metallic color. I like it a lot. I'm going to be painting today with this brush. It's made by a company called the Army Painter. I usually use the Insane detail brush, which I have in my hand, and then over here on the bench I've got the Psycho detailer, which is one is slightly smaller than the other, and you definitely need these type of things when doing paint this small. I also use GW brushes as well, dry brushes and Army Painter dry brushes. It just depends on who's got the better deal and availability at the time. So anyway, I'm gonna apply some warp lock bronze to some of his plastic bits here, and you're just gonna barely even touch. You're just going to barely even touch the surface. And believe me, the tip will do its job. You don't need, you don't need to rush. This is the part where you don't need to rush. You definitely do not need to rush this, because the brush is going to do its job. As long as you have a careful, steady hand and you're patient, it's going to do its thing. It's going to amaze you, actually, because you're going to see the miniature take life right in your hand, and it's going to amaze you. At one point, you're going to want to put it down and actually marvel at what you've done. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I still stop to marvel at my own work. I know to some people it might sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I came to realize something a handful of years ago. The more I do this, the better I get. And I have really honed my craft. I must say that, this is not something I did overnight. I didn't wake up one day and just say, holy shit, I know how to paint these badass miniatures that only a handful of people know how to do. Again, it takes time and it takes patience, and it's like anything. You get better with time. And I know from some people's perspective that's kind of an old school way of thinking, but you know what? With this is not something you want to rush. Many times I have sat down and watched other people play Warhammer 40k with unpainted armies or half-ass painted armies, and it's like, why did you go through the trouble of buying that kit or those minis and not properly, doing them up? That says something about you when you take the time to do something like this. When you take the time to put in the work to make these things look the way they're supposed to. And there are some guys that will argue and say, well, I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can do it in stages like I do. I mean, I have a busy life. outside of this game. I have other things going on. I'm a dad. I'm a single dad. I work, and I managed to get some of this done. It's not a real hard thing to accomplish. Again, key words: patience. Patience, kids. Patience. There. Now we have some warp lock bronze on here, and like I said, I'm gonna finish painting part of his claw. I'm doing the hydraulics right now, the hydraulic pistons that would otherwise actuate Ghazghkull's power claw. Now this is a favorite weapon. It's a favorite hand-to-hand weapon of the orcs. They love power claws. They love rushing into battle and grabbing somebody by their head and squeezing their head and popping it like a grape with a power claw. That's something they do just for shits and grins. Besides shooting people and blowing stuff up, the orcs do like to grab a hold of a victim and squeeze the piss out of them. And rightly so. I mean, when you have the kind of artillery that they possess, why not? Why not be a savage brute? Take your enemy by force and crush them. And hear the lamentation of the women afterwards. That's basically their thing. Little known fact about orcs: they are a fungal-based race. They are birthed from spores. They come from the earth. Well, their planet anyway. They come from the ground. They grow in the ground like any plant life. And they're not hatched or conceived by any normal means. They are a plant-based life form. Anyhow, here we go. So, I have the hydraulic piston assembly pretty much painted at this point. Like I said, I'm going to do a combination of the warp lock bronze and the bolt gun metal. I love the metallics that they put out. I'm a big fan of the GW paints, but I regret that. There was another paint maker that I used to paint with called Ral Partha, and I miss their paints. I miss their line of products because they had such wonderful paints. And over the course of time, I bought so many of their paints in the past that till this day I still have some old Ral Partha paint that I occasionally use. These paints have a wonderful long shelf life. They really do. The GW stuff has a long shelf life as well, and if you store them in moderate temperatures and you shake you gotta shake the jars up every once in a while, get the paint moving around in there. If you store them for a long period of time, then you're not using them. You eventually do have to shake up the jars, maybe add a little bit of water here and there to keep them loose, but not too loose. I'm talking like eyedropper type amounts. You don't ever want to just pour water into a paint pot and expect it to do anything. You don't want your paint to be too thin, because then it'll just be the equivalent of wash, and you don't want to turn one of these jars into just a wash. I mean, if you need wash, GW is one of the many companies that makes inks and washes and glazes. Those are for doing the finished product. Now I'm going to apply a little bit more of, I'm going to do a little bit of the brass scorpion now. But I'm going to do a different technique called dry brushing so that you can actually see how dry brushing works. Going to take my small dry brush, which is a Citadel or a GW piece, whichever you prefer. I do have a custom-made dry brush that I made some years ago because I wanted something even shorter than this. I mean, this is... Sometimes you have to do custom jobs. You have to have custom tools, I guess. Now, brass scorpion is more of a copper color, but I'm just going to lightly brush. See how I'm doing this? Short strokes, and voila, look at that. Look at that. Look how that metal plate comes to life. That metal plate right there on Ghazzy's power claw, it went from just being, you know, dull to now it has life. I'm going to take the same metallic and do a little dry brushing over the hydraulic piston shafts on his power claw. And then I'm going to lightly go over the scorpion, the brass scorpion a little bit. Just going to lightly dust it, basically. There we go. More or less like highlighting what I already did with the brass scorpion. Or I'm sorry, with the Warplock bronze. I'm going over the Warplock bronze with the brass scorpion. Just a little bit. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I hit this with the wash, when I ink this, when I wash this, this is all gonna, it's all gonna make sense. It's gonna all come together. It really is. But again, the base color for this, I'm going to be using a lot of metallics on different parts of Ghazzy because, as I said, the orcs are a ramshackle race. They love grabbing shit and piecing it together from other stuff, man. It's what they do. It's part of their culture. You can't possibly be an orc and not do shit like that. I mean, that's just how they operate. That's how they roll. You know, they're a ramshackle race, but they get the job done, man. They find ways to get the job done. They really do. They do just that. They are a utilitarian race, if you will. And again, you know, you want to talk about some boys that they get it done. They definitely get it done when it comes to you know, ripping their enemy apart. So anyway, this concludes our little paint session. So now you got to see some dry brushing and some straightforward painting. Again, everything's done in layers and in stages. We'll continue the update and the painting videos as they progress. I will show you my progress, and again I will do some live stuff, painting, like you got to see here today. So this is Big Mac saying I'm signing off. Don't forget to view my videos and like them and subscribe. Please subscribe, guys. I mean, I'm not doing this just, for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it for information reasons. I want to inform people. So again, thanks for the love to my other subscribers. Hi, you guys know who you are. MBJ, Bree World, you guys know who you are, and my other followers. So I love you guys. Thanks. Peace.